Hey, just got back from a ski tour, doing some backcountry skiing in the Adirondacks. I had all the gear in the car, and I get asked a lot about what I use for AT gear, the setup, the skis, the bindings, the boots, and what I carry, what I have for a pack. And hopefully it helps give everybody an idea if they want to do some backcountry touring, or if you do a lot of backcountry touring, maybe you pick up some new ideas, which would be awesome. So I'll turn the camera here. And by the way, it's an absolutely beautiful day in the mountain today. Absolute blast. Blue sky, bluebird day, I guess what you could call it. So the back of the car is quite a mess just because I have all the gear in there, but it may just be the easiest way of showing you what I have. And you could take a quick shot of what I have here. I've got my regular downhill skis in there as well with the traditional regular downhill bindings. And I've got an extra set of downhill boots in there as well. You just never know what I'm gonna end up doing or what I'm gonna end up needing. I love these skis for touring. It's a pair of J skis. I think they're called First Tracks. They still make them. I think the graphic design is different every year. They're super lightweight, so they're great on the uphill, and they're actually quite good on the downhill. And I have a pair of G3 bindings, and I love these bindings. They're pin bindings. They're easy. They're super durable. I've never had an issue with them, and they're just you twist for uphill travel, and they've got these elevated levers on them, which are really cool when you're on some serious steep terrain, and then you just turn to lock them when you're going downhill. And boy, are they very sturdy. I don't wear brakes on my AT setup, kind of old school. I grew up before they had brakes on skis anyway, so we just loop these in. If you don't want to lose a ski, especially if you're on hard packed snow, you will lose them if they end up like on their underside because they will slide right away. So I do attach them to my boots, and I've always loved those adjustable poles. Really easy to adjust. It's just a lever, a twist. You can make them shorter, longer, and then you tighten them here with a little bit of a lever. So the boots, I like the Atomic Backlands. As you can tell, I've got two sets of Atomic boots. These are the Backlands. I do love them. They're the carbon ones. They're pretty stiff. I'm happy with them on the uphill and the downhill. The range of motion uphill is just crazy. And the levers in the back here, and that's in walk mode. And then you put it down to go in ski mode. And like I said, the articulation walking up is tremendous. It's so comfortable. And plus the boots are comfortable. I can spend all day in these boots and not really get uncomfortable with my feet. The only downside is your feet sweat. But actually these, I feel like, don't sweat as much as some of the other boots that I've worn. And your feet are going to sweat anyway when you're hiking uphill. You're working so hard that you can't not sweat. They do have the boa closure in the forefoot. I like them. They're just super easy, super clean. I know some people say that they get iced up and snowed up. Yes, if you're in deep snow, they do get snow on them and they can get iced up, but I've never had a problem with them. I just, every once in a while, take your hand and get rid of the ice and the snow. You're ready to go. I feel like they're super firm. I like the tread that they have on the underneath, so they are pretty durable when you're walking. If you need to take your skis off, you need to do some either hiking or walking in the boot. So this actually can adjust your forward lean when it's locked in. And that may help some people. Most people do not know about that. They say it on the Atomic website, but they don't really show you how to do it. So that's the skis, bindings, boots, poles setup. Let's go through some of the rest of the gear here. So skins, Pomoka. I have Pomoka ski skins on this particular setup. I do really like them. They're simple, easy. They've lasted a couple of years for me. I'm not going to go through a whole tutorial on how to put skins on. There are tons of those online. They're really easy. A lot of people tend to make it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. It's tip to tail. You put the sticky side against the bottom part of the ski. You stuff one end either in the snow. You can use your waist as leverage to get the skins on and off. They've got a flat tail to them, so these clip on pretty easily and nice and snug. That one snapped as I was trying to put it on, and I would suggest you get a bunch of these. I keep some extra ones in my pack. They make them in metal. I prefer the plastic, but depending on how cold it is and how rough you are with them, when you have gloves on, snap it on the tail. They can break and they're just really easy to replace. So I've got like a bag of extra 10. And I will say about these J skis is I think this pair, when I bought them, they actually came pre-cut, pre-sized, so they were just ready, like plug and play. Now you can get your own skins, you can cut your own skins. There's a lot of tutorials on how to do that. I've cut my own skins, but if you want to go the easy play with a nice setup, advocate, like I said, the J skis, First Tracks. You can buy them without skins, you can buy them with skins, pre-cut, fit to size, and you're ready to go. I am a big advocate of these. I've been using these ski straps or straps for decades. There are a lot of different companies that make them. I use these to strap my poles to my skis, particularly on my backcountry setup, because without brakes, they don't lock together and they wobble all over the place. So that keeps everything together, easy to carry, put in the car, carry wherever you're going. You don't forget the poles. I know that there's a company that makes what they call the clips now. You can spend more money and get those, or you can buy these. And like I said, I carry a bunch of these in my pack because you also never know what's going to break and what you need to have tied down. So hopefully that's a helpful tip. All right, so here's the pack. I like the Dawn Patrol 25. So this is a non-airbag pack for day trips. Carries everything that I need and nothing that I don't. So I am a huge advocate of airbags. If you go in the avalanche area, definitely wear an airbag. And I would suggest if you want to get a pack that has a removable airbag, because you take it out and it sheds a lot of weight. The other reason I love this pack is it fully opens. So it's easy to get the skins in. I don't feel like I'm trying to slide them in. And if there's anything sticking on the outside, trying to stuff them in a small pocket. And they fit pretty flat. And then there's a little padding here, so I don't even feel them. By the way, I don't like my skins in my jacket. I know some people like to put their skins in their jacket to keep them warm. It bothers me. They're bulky. It's uncomfortable. The way I solve that problem is I have a small hand warmer. I put it on low. I pop it in there. I close it up, and it doesn't heat them up, but it just keeps them from freezing and keeps them warm enough to where when you want to hike up again, they're pretty easy to put back on. And they stayed somewhat warm. So the rest of the pack, they've got two side pockets on the buckles where you strap around your waist. I put a little toolkit in one side, a little beanie. I often put a little bit of strawberries or a snack in there as well. Definitely need something when you're hiking uphill and you're spending the day. And the other thing, while I'm on the food thing, whether it's strawberries or dark chocolate or a protein bar, I often use some beef jerky, but that can get awfully tough and when it's super cold out. And of course, you cannot forget water. Anytime you're doing backcountry skiing, you sweat so much. People tend to forget water. I like plastic. They're much lighter. You could use an insulated water bottle, but it's going to be a lot heavier. These are a lot lighter. This one is actually collapsible. They're rubber and they do collapse, so they get much smaller. I do have clips on mine, so I can either clip them here on the outside of my pack when I'm hiking, and that way I don't have to take my pack off to get some water. And then what I will do is I will put it in the pocket on the way down, and then I will use those battery operated hand warmers that I showed you before. So I use those in a variety of ways. I use those battery hand warmers to keep my ski skins from freezing. I use them for my water bottles so that the water doesn't freeze. I use it for some of the snack or strawberries. And I also use it in one of the pockets for the GoPro batteries so that they don't die so quickly, because they tend to die when they freeze. So that's just a quick rundown of how I make sure that I stay hydrated and some of the ways that I use the battery operated hand warming batteries that they're just awesome and they last pretty much all day. There's a small pocket up here, which is typically where I carry some things that are easy to get to. I carry a lot of my GoPro camera stuff up here. It's easy to access. And then I carry my skinning gloves. So those are my skinning gloves. You can see I like the Hestra gloves. I have a pair of skinning gloves. And sometimes I end up finished hiking up even without gloves. The thicker Hestra gloves I'm a huge fan of. So these can easily fit in the top here. So I can keep that in there with my GoPro stuff. They're nice and snug in there. And then in this back pocket here, with the back part of and it's the biggest pocket, I keep either a 3/4 pullover and then my vest and then my shell, which is right there. I like my Arc'teryx shell. I don't like an insulated jacket. So on the outside, I'm wearing an Arc'teryx shell, and I have a pair of Arc'teryx pants that I like, and these are a pair of North Face Future Light bibs, and they're stretchy. So they are so comfortable. And then here's what I had today. This is a cool 3/4 zip sweater. And this can fit in the pack. So typically when I'm hiking, all I'm hiking up with is the shell pants, a light base layer underneath this for my legs, a base layer, and a vest only. And I keep this and the shell in the pack. And often I end up shedding the vest anyway. The other thing here is I do, for downhill, if it's super cold out, I do like the Hestra mittens. I'm a big advocate of that. So externally is the helmet. I love the Smith helmet. I've got a Jogo goggle. They're what they call transition lenses. So in the sun, they get darker. And if you're in the shade, cloudy day, or if you go from sun to the woods, they adjust pretty quickly. So you really have great visibility when the conditions change pretty quickly. I do love these glasses. I've got a couple pair of Glacier glasses. I got another pair of glasses that don't block out quite as much light if it's a little cloudy. But today it started out cloudy and it just got super bright. So I always just keep this in the pack. And often I keep it in the side pockets or in the top pocket there, which is easy to get to without taking the pack off while I'm hiking, which is one of the reasons I love this Dawn Patrol pack. And the last comment I'll make is I'm getting ready to put some of the gear back in here. I bought this stuff new, and it can get rather expensive, but it doesn't have to be expensive. There's lots of gear that you can buy used, whether it's a ski binding setup, boots. There's certain things that I would never buy used. Safety stuff like a helmet. Bindings can be a little sketchy as well, but you can always have them tested out. There's lots of stuff at the end of the season. People either want to upgrade or they no longer want to do it. You could probably get a full used setup for a couple $100. And I would suggest that's probably the most economical way to go. I can't tell you the number of skis, snow skis, water skis that I buy and sell used. So there's a big market for it. You just have to look around and find what you want. So I think that's everything. You got the pack, the skins, the gear, the clothing, the gloves, and of course the boots, poles, skis, and binding setup. I don't know if I missed anything or not. If I did, somebody's got to let me know, and I can either redo it or just add whatever you want to hear or whatever you want to know. So hopefully this helped, and thank you for watching. Till next time.